professionals attending today. My plan is to talk for about 15 minutes and then have time for questions. So if what I say prompts a question, you might want to note it down to ask after the presentation. And as you may see, we're joined today by my colleague at Lancaster, Professor Luke Harding, and he'll be available to answer questions as well. And you'll know Luke from his plenary talk yesterday morning at the conference. So just to introduce myself, as Flora said, I'm John Pill. I'm a lecturer in language testing at Lancaster, where I've worked now for just over 3 years. I'm the Director of Studies for the MA level programs in language testing, which is the main reason I'm involved here. And I'll also be talking this evening, about other programs offered in the department. So as an overview of the talk, I'll first briefly introduce Lancaster and then talk about our MA programs, then opportunities for doctoral studies with our PhD programs in linguistics and applied linguistics. I'll introduce our summer school language testing at Lancaster and finish up with some very brief general information about applying to study with us. Lancaster is a small city in the northwest of England. It's the county town for Lancashire. And on the map of the British Isles here, its location is marked with a yellow star. So the city's near the coast and Morecambe Bay and the Irish Sea, and is south of Cumbria and the beautiful Lake District. It's about an hour from Manchester and the international airport there, and it's on a main railway line from London to Scotland. So you can reach Lancaster from London or Glasgow, Edinburgh by train in about 2.5 hours. The city has a historic centre with a castle, priory church and cathedral. And while many students live in the town, the university is just outside Lancaster itself, south of the city, occupying a modern purpose-built campus. The university was established in 1964, so it celebrated its 50th anniversary about 5 years ago. There are around 18,000 students who each belong to one of 9 colleges and 3,000 staff members. And the university has international programs in China at Beijing Jiaotong University in Weihai, and branch campuses in Accra, Ghana, and in Leipzig, Germany. Lancaster University has a strong national and worldwide reputation for excellence in research and teaching. Focusing on our own department, Linguistics and English Language, we're ranked 12th in the world for linguistics in the QS World University Rankings for 2020. And this puts the department in the same field as Harvard and MIT internationally. Within the UK, linguistics at Lancaster is ranked 3rd in the Complete University Guide for 2021, and 4th for linguistics in the Times and Sunday Times University Guide, also for 2021. The department is one of the largest linguistics departments in the UK, with nearly 40 academics, and it's research focused. We have particular expertise in corpus linguistics, with the Centre for Corpus Approaches to Social Science, and also critical discourse analysis, literacy studies, and cognitive linguistics. And we have state-of-the-art phonetics and psycholinguistics labs. Language testing and assessment is another area of expertise in the department. Lancaster has a long and well-respected reputation in this field. Currently, 3 academics in the department particularly specialize in language testing. Here they are. Professor Tineke Bronfo is particularly interested in reading and listening in second and foreign languages. And she won the TOEFL Outstanding Young Scholar Award in 2016. Professor Luke Harding's interests include listening assessment, pronunciation and intelligibility, language assessment literacy, and English as a lingua franca. And he's co-editor of the journal Language Testing. My research interests are in language for specific purpose testing, particularly in academic and healthcare contexts, speaking assessment, and communicative competence. To find out more about the many academics working in the department, to see the full range of expertise across the field of linguistics and English language, I encourage you to visit the university website at the bottom of the slide here. So now I'd like to introduce the MA level programs. For both programs, the MA and the postgraduate certificate in language testing by distance, are delivered online and are part-time. This is advantageous to our students who are usually in full-time work in language teaching or testing roles, and who take the programs to help them with the demands of the current position or to prepare them to take up a position that requires knowledge and skills in language testing. Online delivery means that we have a very international group of students each year. The programs are designed to be flexible and accessible to students based all around the world, in different time zones, and to fit around different demands of their work, family, and other responsibilities. So the programs start with an orientation in September. This is currently being run online because of the uncertainty caused by the COVID-19 situation, but in the past has been an opportunity for new students to visit Lancaster at the start of their program. Students starting in September 2021 won't need to come to Lancaster for the orientation, so the entire program will be online by distance. Looking at the MA program, so highlighted here in red, this takes 2 years part-time. Students complete 5 taught modules, 1 in each university term, with 3 terms per year. In the 3rd term of the 2nd year and across the summer, so from April to September, students work with their individual supervisor on a dissertation project, which is then submitted in mid-September, 2 years after they started the MA program. The postgraduate certificate program in grey here is the 1st year of the MA exactly. So students complete 3 taught modules in 1 year. And then it's possible to transfer from the PG Cert program to the MA program. So to present this visually, the grey indicates the PG Cert program, and that's 3 modules in 1 year. And then the additional red indicates the MA, a further 2 taught modules and the dissertation project in year 2. The taught modules are designed to be taken in the same order here, and the content of each module builds on what has gone before. So here are the titles of those modules. The first is quite practical, about language test construction and evaluation. The second module looks at language and how people learn languages, these constructs that language tests and assessments are trying to capture and measure. For example, listening, lexicogrammatical resources, communicative competence, and so on. So this takes a kind of applied linguistics background to language testing, what we're trying to measure. Module 3, Issues in Language Testing, engages with a series of topics. This includes theories of validity and modern approaches to validation, rating and rater judgment, testing language for specific purposes, technological innovation and language testing, testing World Englishes and English as a lingua franca, language assessment literacy, and ethics in language testing. And the issues for the units in this module may change depending on what the students' interests are and what is topical particularly. So these 3 modules form the content for the PG certificate, the postgraduate certificate. In the 2nd year, the 2 taught modules set up MA students to complete their dissertation project and provide them with the skills needed by independent researchers in language testing. So the 4th module covers research methods used in language testing studies, qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods approaches, while the fifth module focuses on statistical analysis for language testing. During these modules, and particularly in Module 4, students are encouraged to plan towards their dissertation project. And then, as I said, from the start of April to mid-September, each student works with an allocated supervisor to design, carry out, and write up their research project. At Lancaster, we're very proud of the quality of the work produced by students taking the MA programme. And I'd briefly like to share two recent successes. Indrit Bulku completed his dissertation on features of legal writing and their assessment in 2019. He subsequently won the Balliap Master's Dissertation Award. So Balliap is an association for teachers of English for academic purposes. Dylan Burton's dissertation on raters' perceptions and operationalization of authentic engagement in oral proficiency tests was completed in 2018, and he was awarded the 2019 Caroline Clapham IELTS Masters Award. Dylan has also published based on this research in highly respected journals in the field. So these are examples of the kind of success that students bring out of our MA program. Now I'll briefly introduce the doctoral programs in the department. Doctoral study can be undertaken full-time or part-time, and by students based in Lancaster or studying by distance. This range of options accommodates the needs of different types of student. The standard timeframes are for 3 years full-time and 5 years part-time. As I've noted previously, there's a strong research culture in the department and a dynamic and supportive group of doctoral students. Just to distinguish the two programs, the PhD in Linguistics by research only involves the student working on their project with one or more supervisors in the department. The PhD in Applied Linguistics by thesis and coursework program involves students taking targeted taught modules alongside working with their supervisor in the first year particularly of their program. So these taught modules are 2 on research methods and 2 on aspects of applied linguistics relevant to the student's research project. In the department, we have a long-running research group for academics and students researching in language testing and assessment. This provides great support for research students with weekly sessions, talks, workshops, maybe data sessions during term time. I'll just quickly show you some recently completed doctoral theses by our students over the past couple of years. So we should congratulate Salome, Franz, Puchong, and Teresa. Some of these names will already be familiar with you. If not, I'm sure they will become known to you in the next few years. A final annual feature of the Lancaster Language Testing and Assessment calendar is the summer school, Language Testing at Lancaster. We were to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the summer school this year, 2020, but unfortunately this had to be cancelled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The summer school is directed by Dr. Rita Green, who has a long association with the department in Lancaster, and it's also taught by Tineke, Luke, and me. The usual schedule is over 4 weeks in July and August, and the program is a great introduction to topics in language testing, with theoretical input and hands-on experience. Students come from around the world to study in Lancaster, staying either on campus or in the town, and of course, enjoying a British summer as well. Given the current uncertainty, we're going to announce plans for 2021 in a couple of months' time. The best place to get further up-to-date information about all the programs in the department, including those I've introduced today, is the university website, and the link is given here at the bottom. And the website also has information about how to apply and funding opportunities for students. So at this point, I'd like to thank you very much for listening. We have about 10 minutes, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions that you might have. And Professor Luke Harding is here with us, I think, and he will also be able to help me answer questions.
Thanks, John. So I guess we can answer any sorts of questions, whether you're just curious about the programs and what they include, you know, even if you've never thought of doing further study before. So here's a question from Cheryl.
Cheryl's asking, I guess, about the orientation for the MA programs.
Yeah, I think right. So. Yeah.
So yes, Cheryl.
Yes. Okay.
No, thank
curious,
you.
Really.
Yes. This year, so in September just past, we ran the orientation at the beginning of the new intake of MA students and PG Cert students. We ran that online only. So the students starting 4 weeks ago didn't attend the orientation in Lancaster in person. And so that moved online, as you say, because of the kind of uncertainty and restricted mobility at the moment. Looking ahead, we've already decided that the orientation for 2021 will also only be online. We would hope that, at least in some areas, some parts of the world, there will be mobility so that students from some areas could attend. But the issue is we would like to deliver the same course, the same program to everybody. So there might be students who would still at that stage in a year's time not be able to attend. And therefore, we've made the decision already to move that online next year. So for 2021 start as well. It's unfortunate because the face-to-face orientation in Lancaster is a great way for the students to get to know each other a little at the beginning of the course. And I think we found in the past that that really sets them up well to start the program. And of course, this year we tried hard to set up the same opportunities online for students to socialize a bit and to feel comfortable with the people they're working with as they start the program. And I think it worked pretty well, to be honest with you. But it is great when we can get together in Lancaster and really start the program of study sort of with an intense couple of days, 3 days. So it's disappointing, but I think necessary to be clear about what we're going to be offering.
Fair enough. Yeah. Thank you, John.
John, Cheryl is one of our alumni. I'm not sure if that was before your time. I'm thinking Cheryl must have finished in about 2015, 20.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Like
good
that.
memory.
Yep.
Great.
But so Cheryl, it is as John said, it was one of the really nice features of the program to have the orientation face to face, and then people really bonded at the beginning. And we're trying our best to recreate that experience online. And we did get some positive feedback, I think, this year, didn't we, John, from the people who undertook it. And at the moment, we don't have a choice, of course, but yeah, we'll have to see how things go. And
I think it was also, just as a final point, it made it possible for students to take the program who otherwise wouldn't have been able to travel to Lancaster in any circumstances, and therefore, in a way, that's a positive aspect to it. So there's a couple of questions there,
Yeah.
Luke, which I might pass to you about PhD and distance PhDs and scholarship opportunities.
So these are from Marella. Hi, Marella. We met yesterday in one of the sessions. Hi. So the first question you've asked there is about scholarship opportunities. And I'll be very honest with you, they're very rare. In UK universities, we have quite a complicated, I think, system of scholarship applications. But what it means is that every year our department, and in fact our university, has to compete with other universities in the region to get scholarship funding to offer to students. And every year there's, you know, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 scholarships available for PhD students, but they're usually attached to specific projects. So if you have a really, really strong proposal, then there is a, you know, there is a chance that there could be a scholarship. And in fact, one of our current students, I think, was awarded a scholarship, at least for fees. I'm not sure if it covers all expenses, but there are things to look into. And so if you follow the links that John provided, there is some information there about scholarships. A lot of our students are either self-funded, often particularly the part-time students. So part-time students will typically be still working full-time or almost full-time and studying part-time. And the other option is that students are sometimes in Lancaster on scholarships from elsewhere. So, you know, a sort of scholarship from their own employer or their own government. So those are the sort of different profiles. But there are, yeah, I mean, there are some opportunities, and, you know, it's worth having a look at what's there and then, you know, getting in touch if it's something you're interested in. But then your second question, which is perhaps connected to the first, is there a possibility for PhD students to study via distance? And the answer is yes. And in fact, that's one of the big advantages, I think, of our program. We have some students studying fully away from the university. In sort of regular times, we ask those students to visit the campus maybe once a year at least to you know, be in touch with us and have some connection with the department. Of course, that's not happening just at the moment. But yes, quite a few of our students, I'd say at least 50% of our PhD students are not in Lancaster. They're studying in other countries, and those are typically students who are still working, you know, full-time in their jobs, and are studying for a PhD part-time. And that's a very normal approach for a lot of our students. Does that help, Marella, to clarify? Yeah, have a look. I should mention as well that John, you know, showed the information about the 2 PhD programs. There's the thesis and coursework program and the PhD by thesis only. The thesis and coursework program is sort of traditionally the more typical program people take when they're studying away, because there's a sort of inbuilt support for students studying away. There's a cohort of students who do some coursework together and then, you know, complete their thesis. But actually, in practice, both of those programs, we have a mix of on-campus and studying away students. So there's a lot of flexibility for PhD students who, you know, already have full-time paid employment. And yeah, we are very experienced, I think, in supervising students in those situations. So, yeah.
Thank you, Luke. Very informative. I'll have a look at the links.
Okay, Marella.
I mean, just to finish, if I can't see any more questions, but the best place to find all kinds of information is the website. And there are information pages about particular courses, the course structure, a course description, and fees information, as well as I said, information about applying and possible funding opportunities. And that's all set out quite accessibly on the department website.
John, I just saw a question here from Parshu Ram Tiwari, which is perhaps similar to what Marella was asking. Is there any program for students who are doing a PhD in a different country? So I'm interpreting that question as meaning, if you're already doing a PhD in another country, is there an opportunity to do something at Lancaster? If that's the case, I think probably the best option is, John mentioned the language testing at Lancaster Summer School. So that's something that you could join. And in fact, every year on the summer school, we do have, you know, a few people who are studying PhDs somewhere else, and perhaps they might be doing a PhD on a related topic, not necessarily fully about assessment. It could be teaching or learning, SLA, something like that. But those students want to sort of specialize for a little bit in language assessment. So that summer school is a really good opportunity to do that, because it's sort of, you know, outside of our normal student enrollments. There is an option for PhD students to visit Lancaster. It's not taken up very often because the reason for that is that if you were, say, an international student who wanted to spend 6 months in Lancaster, you would have to pay 6 months of international student fees, which are quite substantial, and, you know, often not that attractive for someone who just wants to visit and sort of hang out at Lancaster and see what's happening. But of course, there are always opportunities for more informal visits, and, you know, coming for a week or so and joining a research group session or something like that. So there are different options to make connections, but I think the summer school is probably the best option for that. Or indeed, if you were studying a different sort of topic and you really just wanted some input about language assessment, the postgraduate certificate is also a really good option now for a sort of 1 year crash course in language assessment. So yeah, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, John.
No, that seems fine. I'm just conscious of the time also. Flora told me that we needed to finish very punctually so that we can move to the final plenary.
Yes.
So there are no more questions, I don't think. So maybe I can just round up here. Thank you everyone for coming along today and finding out a bit more about Lancaster. I can see some familiar names in the list of attendees, and I hope there was something we said that was useful or allowed you to be nostalgic and reminisce a little about what you've done at Lancaster. And we're always ready to welcome people back to continue studies, of course. So as Flora said, the morning in Lancaster, it's a windy and rather grey day here in Lancaster, but it's been a pleasure to talk to you this morning, this afternoon, this evening. And please get in touch by email. I'm very happy to deal with further questions in that way. So thanks very much, everybody.
Okay.